I'm gonna beat you into the living death.
Welcome back to Yelling About Mixed Martial Arts, the show where I yell about mixed martial arts. UFC Vegas 85 was a sloppy lasagna of okay fights, sandwiched between so many goddamn fouls, it's amazing that the referees escaped without catching an eye poke. There were 3 cup shots within the first 2 fights alone, followed by eye poke, after a cup check, after a headbutt, after a motherfucking eye poke. At one point, I began contemplating whether or not I should poke my own eyes out, purely out of solidarity. This was followed by a main event featuring all of those aforementioned fouls times 2, plus a maybe head kick to a downed opponent, but also possibly not that almost, and a shouting match occurring between one of the fighters in the cage and another fighter outside of it. And also Renato Moicano's 62-year-old dad just fathered another child. He wants to become a SWAT team member, and he wants to fight the MMA guru. That's Renato who wants to do that stuff, not his father. Or his soon-to-be 35 years younger brother. What the fuck am I talking about? Well, let me unpack that box truck's worth of goofiness, one piece at a time. There were a couple of decent performances on the card, including a fantastic sequence by Randy Brown to stop Muslim Solikov early, Zhang Young Lee's complete schooling of Blake Builder, and Molly McCann's bounce-back victory over Deanna Belbita via an armbar that had Belbita chicken winging in the wrong direction late in the first round. There was also a close fight in the co-main, where Renato Moicano narrowly defeated Drew Dober, after which Moicano got on the mic and unleashed a diatribe so reminiscent of a cocaine rant that Conor McGregor was the only person who could fully follow it. Daniel Cormier gave up about 30 seconds into the thing, as Moicano made a point to inform us that his dad's swimmers are still paddling at the ripe old age of 62, and that he himself was planning on knocking up his own wife after the victory, both very important messages that we're all much better off for knowing. He also wants to become a cop and join the SWAT team and slap the shit out of the MMA guru, and still, I see no problems. The 5-round main event between Roman Dolidze and Nasruddin Imavov was a wild ride, with Dolidze nearly getting finished in the first, only to stick it out through a boatload of heavy strikes and somehow hobble his way to a decision loss. Unfortunately, that was a mixed bag of both legal and illegal strikes, as this tweet so succinctly illustrates, including a technically still illegal head kick that resulted in a point deduction and halted the action just long enough for low-key 4chan and on Chris Curtis to start jawing at Imavov through the cage, leading to a hissy fit from Imavov while Dolidze recovered. Perhaps this was Curtis just laying the groundwork for a rematch between him and Imavov, as their last fight ended in a no contest, but if you've ever heard Chris Curtis talk or seen him smile, you'll know that it's more likely that he was just being one sneaky trolly bastard. The point deduction was due to a head kick that was landed by Imavov while Dolidze was in a folded over 3-point position with one hand on the ground, a subject that I've covered in some detail prior on the channel. And because I already covered it, I was already planning on a follow-up about this very rule for this video, making this illegal kick both a very unfortunate moment of anti-serendipity and a perfect way to start today's installment of This Week in MMA Regulatory Nerd Shit.
It's This Week in MMA Regulatory Nerd Shit.
The follow-up on the subject is because earlier last week, California State Athletic Commission Executive Director Andy Foster, who also leads the Association of Boxing Commission's Rules Committee, was on the MMA Hour telling Ariel Helwani that he'd be proposing both changes to the downed opponent rule and altogether eliminating the 12-6 elbows rule from the unified rules of MMA. And he did do that. And they passed through the Rules Committee unanimously from everything that I've been able to gather. However, it still needs to go to a larger open vote in order to become the law of the land, so while that's in limbo, the current rules deemed the kick in question to be illegal, as the referee judged Dolidze's ground-touching hand to be weight-bearing. Except as with all officiating, it's pretty much at the referee's discretion, and the replay system doesn't seem to make much of a difference in getting the calls right, and it can always be overturned after the fact, so since no one ever seems to truly know what the fuck is going on, at least we're all on the same page. With little doubt that the rule changes will win the open vote, the new rules will be that an opponent is only considered downed if any body part aside from their hands and or the soles of their feet are touching the ground, and the downward straight line elbow will be legal. The 12-6 change could open a path to John Jones having his lone loss to Matt Hamill overturned to a no contest, so between that and the changes to the downed opponent rule, we might finally see some justice for Arnold Allen, that one guy from the Contender series, and most especially for Jones because seriously, with all of those slaps on the wrist both inside and outside of the cage, hasn't that guy suffered enough? How about we lighten the mood a little bit with some fun facts about former UFC heavyweight champion Brock Lesnar. 1. He's an avid hunter. 2. He's married to former WWE superstar Sable. And 3. Apparently he has a urination fetish. Wait, that's not fun. That's not fun either. Oh, God damn it. Yes, once again, professional wrestling has gotten its stench on mixed martial arts, a problem I have been bitching about since back when this show was shot on Potato Cam. Earlier last week, it was announced that UFC parent company Endeavor was forming a new company to house both the UFC and WWE under one roof, thus shoveling dirt upon the last shred of credibility that MMA may have had in being taken seriously as a legitimate sport. Well, perhaps not as predicted, but indeed, the UFC-WWE coupling under the Endeavor-led umbrella of TKO Group Holdings may have become a bit of a problem for the UFC, as now former WWE CEO Vince McMahon's horrific sexual assault and human trafficking allegations, paired with former UFC heavyweight champion Brock Lesnar's involvement in the scandal, shocked the world late last month. All joking aside, I read all 67 pages of the complaint against McMahon and the half-dozen others involved, including Brock Lesnar, and the allegations are so horrific in their vileness, I felt like I needed to take a shower after almost every other page of it. Here are the allegations that pertain to Brock Lesnar personally. While in negotiations to re-sign Brock with the WWE, Vince McMahon, who'd already been grooming this woman at the center of the complaint into all sorts of denigrating sexual exploitation for an extended period of time allegedly, told said woman to send Brock explicit photos of herself. He received them and said he liked what he saw. Brock then flew to Connecticut to have dinner with Vince, discuss his new contract, and have a threesome with the woman, but Brock was too drunk to follow through. Classy. Later, Vince gave Brock this woman's phone number and told Brock that the woman would do anything he wanted. Apparently, videos of her pissing was what he wanted. She complied, leading to Brock planning a date to have sex with this woman, but ultimately that never came to fruition. There were more intimations of plans for future sexual contact, but also that appears to have never actually happened, as far as I can tell. It's unclear just how much Brock knew about the nature of McMahon's relationship with this woman, but either way, receiving explicit photographs of a sex trafficking victim is a pretty bad look, to say the least. However, that's just a fraction of the metric shit ton of depravity in this complaint, which has had the WWE and TKO Holdings quietly scrubbing both Vince and Brock from the history books, otherwise known as the Chris Benoit treatment in the wrestling world. With the possibility of criminal charges now looming over McMahon, further monetary damages to TKO, and the billion-dollar lawsuit the UFC is already facing on its own, who knows what repercussions we'll be looking forward to as a result of this mess. Even if the UFC somehow manages to walk away clean from everything, which is a long shot, it's yet another bloody nose for the sport of MMA, which continues to be stuck in a perpetual state of looking like the Doom guy with 5% health. So all in all, just another load of horse shit in the landfill that is MMA. If you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and for yelling about mixed martial arts, this is Thinker St. James reminding you that if you see Brock Lesnar at the urinal, zip up and walk away quickly.
What do you mean you won't let me watch you pee?
It's